Good morning. Welcome back to the broadcast Retirement Network. This is BRN AM for Thursday, May 23rd, 2024. And our top story today, we're taking a look at real estate wellness. Joining me now to discuss this and a lot more, Ophelia, Yeung, and Katherine Johnston of the Global Wellness Institute. Ophelia, Katherine, so great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Hi.
Thank you.
Great to be here.
Yeah, this is great. And I'm really excited to learn more about your research. But before we get in, and Katherine, I want to start with you. Let's talk about the Global Wellness Institute. Can you tell us about a little bit about GWI and the work that you all are doing? I think the audience would find it absolutely fascinating.
Sure. So the Global Wellness Institute has been around for about a decade, or maybe 11 or 12 years. I don't know exactly which year we got started. But we are a global nonprofit, and we are an organization that represents all aspects of wellness and the wellness industry worldwide. Our organization actually spun out of an event that is called the Global Wellness Summit. And that summit is a place where people from different aspects of the wellness industry and different businesses come together to meet to talk about ideas and the future of where things are going in wellness. And so the nonprofit actually spun out of that to be a place to house all of the research and initiatives and activities that the group was doing outside of that event. Ophelia and I are both senior research fellows with GWI, and we lead the research that the organization does surrounding all aspects of wellness as an industry and as a concept. And our mission is empowering wellness worldwide. And so a big focus of our research is really how to expand access to wellness services and practices and activities for all people at all incomes and in all places.
Yeah, really well said. And Ophelia, I want to come to you to let's talk about this was a term. So in the retirement industry, we've got financial wellness. In the health industry, we have overall wellness. This was interesting. Real estate wellness. How do you define real estate wellness, and how big of a market is this?
Yeah. So to talk about, before we talk about wellness, real estate, instead of real estate wellness, we just have to go back to what we do. Like, we are the best known for actually defining the size of the global wellness industry. And we have last measured it at $5.6 trillion worldwide. And that industry includes, we looked at 11 sectors. So like spa is one of them, hot springs one of them, wellness tourism is one of them. So wellness real estate is one of the 11 industries that we measured. So, and we define it as the homes and communities that are proactively designed, built, and operated for the holistic well-being of its occupants.
And Katherine, I mean, again, I'm coming at this from a layperson, but when I rented, my wife and I rented our apartment, one of the things that we looked at was quote unquote the amenities, and I have to think that's kind of similar. Did it have a pool? Did it have a sauna? Did it have mailboxes and things like that? I mean, this has really taken off over the past decade.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been growing for a decade or two, but really what has accelerated people's understanding and interest was the pandemic. Things just skyrocketed since then. One thing to keep in mind when we talk about wellness real estate is even to take a step back from that, or to look more broadly. When we think about it from a wellness perspective, what we're talking about is wellness in our built environments and in our physical environments and in the things that are surrounding us. So, one of the pieces of information that we like to emphasize that comes out of health research is the social determinants of health. Those are the things that affect our, disease risks, whether or not we might get chronic disease, our longevity, our lifespan, our life expectancy. And research has shown that the things around us, our social environment, our built environment, our physical environments, are responsible for up to 80 to 90% of our health. It's more important than our genes, and it's more important than our doctors and the medical system. So the importance of this is huge, because the places we live in, influence how we behave, whether or not we have access to, all the things we need to stay healthy, whether it's healthy food or being able to exercise or connect with other people. So it's a hugely important topic that I I think a lot of people still don't even realize the relationship between, our living environments and then all those other aspects of our health.
Yeah, well, Ophelia, I'm old enough to remember asbestos and asbestos removal and how that impacted so many lives and so many people's health, so many people's health. How do architects and building designers build into, there's clearly a demand here. How do they build this in, and do they have to get certified? So is there, like, there is a environmental certification? Is there a similar wellness certification that buildings and homes can get?
There are a number of certifications worldwide. In the US, most developers would be looking to the well certification from the Well Building Institute, International Well Building Institute, and the other one is Fitwel, which is related to the Center for Active Design. So both of them are certifications. But it's interesting when you talk about asbestos and it's sort of like the things are first, like, could be bad for us in our built environment. So like when we think of wellness real estate, the most important thing is, like you said, it's like do no harm, and do not like build that where we can actually have toxins and these sort of poisonous stuff, mold, and now we know pandemic, and you can have, if the air circulation is not good, or your insulation only cares about the environment but not caring about indoor, and outdoor air exchange, it's actually very bad for our health, right? So first, we're a lot of these certification system as well. They're looking at first, do no harm, do not harm us, don't use the materials that off gas, that create terrible indoor air. And then we look at whether the environment, the built environment, or the home and the office environment can actually enhance your health. Because there are, of course, we have building regulations, but they're usually kind of minimum, the minimum standards, right? And even that minimum standard is changing. And now they're looking at, well, maybe we should have air circulation that is higher as a standard. But so some of the certification system, it would be exceeding some of the legal limits. But then we're talking about enhancing, right? Like, does it have the kind of lighting system, or letting in outdoor light? So, or kind of let you interact with outdoor green elements, getting the sort of like the benefits of nature and biophilic elements. So there are many aspects to it, and these certifications would kind of look at every category, whether it is like physical wellness, whether it is, even mental wellness, social wellness. Does it encourage you? Does it have a quiet space for you for contemplation, or is it designed to maybe facilitate interaction with people? So this certification has various aspects. And I don't know if financial wellness is one of them, but definitely the whole social, mental, physical, the sleep part, and all of those are part of the certification system.
Well,
yeah, although we do
ahead,
want to
Jen.
keep in mind that you don't have to be certified to be a healthy place to live. There are different ways that builders are doing this. Some use certifications, some do not. What we've seen from our research is some of the most sort of creative and inspiring and interesting wellness homes and wellness neighborhoods that we've seen are not certified, because they're driven by a developer and designer who really has a passion for doing something unique and something better and something new. And so there are so many interesting places out there that are building wellness into the bricks and mortar and into the neighborhood in a lot of really creative ways, whether they're certified or not.
Yeah, Ophelia, Katherine, I need to take a very quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about real estate wellness. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings in retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms? Especially for the smaller businesses. I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network. Welcome back. We're joined this morning by Ophelia Yeung and Katherine Johnston of the Global Wellness Institute. Ophelia, Katherine, thanks so much for staying with us this morning. Ophelia, I want to come back to, we talked a little bit about the developers developing these types of buildings that are really incorporating wellness in so many different aspects. Let's talk about consumer demand. Are there different age ranges that are more inclined to focus on this type of real estate?
Well, these, in terms of the market segments, with a lot of these features that always start with sort of luxury residences, right? It's just the way markets are. But if we're not looking at just sort of the price spectrum, definitely I would say Gen X on the sort of the older demographics into the senior, it's like definitely the prime market for this, because people are now aware of, the importance of aging, but aging healthily. It's longevity, but it's really health span, not lifespan, right? So, and then as a lot of from Gen X on, thinking about, well, maybe I should downsize. What's going to happen for the next 50 years if I live until I'm 100? It's a huge investment, like real estate or your home, right? And then now we're looking like, what this investment better work for my health, not just being at some fancy space or just maybe the luxury amenities, but is it good for my health? Is it going to enable me to be well in all aspects, socially, mentally, and physically? So, but in terms of the real estate development, I think it has not hit this retirement, the senior housing in a big way, except in the sort of the luxury residences.
And I was smiling just because I'm a Gen Xer and having lived through the pandemic, Katherine, my focus has really been our focus, my wife's and I focus. How do you live the best life you can? It's less material and more about, hey, we want to be comfortable, we want to maintain our flexibility and all those types of things. Katherine, are there parts of the country that are really focused on this? Or by the way, parts of the globe, forgetting just the United States. But are there, when I'm thinking about nice climates, Florida, parts of California, but you guys are the researchers. Are there areas that are really more focused than others on this type of real estate?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more happening in certain parts of the country. And honestly, a lot of that tends to be driven by where are houses being built, right? And where is the population growing? So in the US, the big sort of flurry of building is taking place in the Southwest, in the Southeast, and some of the Western states. So, everywhere from like Texas, Arizona, California, Colorado, Utah, down in Florida, Georgia, there's massive housing developments going out now in all those regions to meet population growth and housing demand. And so we do see a lot of new projects coming on board in those areas that are really interesting from a wellness perspective. So everything from agri-hoods and, incorporating farms and sort of nature into developments to, all kinds of creative ideas of how do you incorporate co-working and social spaces and sort of meeting those needs of all different types of generations. Also focus on more multi-generational communities that, you don't have to build the 55 plus housing in and the assisted living as its own separate thing, but how do we incorporate those into a community where all the generations are intermingling, which is much healthier for us. So a lot of the homes are being built in those places. We also see a lot of interesting things happening in some of the big urban areas, because again, population growth. So if you look across like Los Angeles and New York City and Chicago and some of the biggest metro areas, in those places, it's not so much the single family homes, but more some interesting things happening in the multifamily and some luxury high rises and condos and all kinds of things being offered there. New ideas of how do you do like co-living for young singles and the wellness aspects and social connections we can get from that. So, another place, again, you see it in the cities, you see it in the Southwest, the Southeast, where we see a lot of homes being built.
Yeah, and Ophelia, I mean, the thing that one of the themes that we see here on the network is aging in place. A lot of people they want to pick a spot and they don't want to go into a community or assisted living or anything like that. They want to age in place. That seems to be a trend that will continue. And then Katherine just mentioned, in the old days, back when I was younger, you had the grandparents sometimes live with the parents, and it seems like that is great from a caregiving perspective as well. So these communities have to be set up to handle all of this, and they also have to have. Sorry, I'm getting to my question. They also have to have in proximity, urgent care, dentists, cleaners, and other facilities so that you can easily get served relatively close to home. Sorry,
Yeah.
that was long-winded.
And ideally be able to walk to them because it's a lot healthier than driving, right?
Yeah,
That's right.
and it's
That's right.
interesting you mentioned that. Of course, for a lot of us, when we think about aging in place, and I'm Gen X too, but I may have to move out of my current house and then hopefully age in place for the next 40 years, right? But it's interesting when you look at the senior communities where sometimes the economics of it is you buy into it and then there's like a fee, right? And it's kind of expensive for a lot of people. But the fee in some of the communities, the fee includes, it's like a long-term care insurance fee. And that's like you said, to talk about the transition to in case I need assisted living and maybe even memory care of my spouse, right? It's a possibility for a lot of us, and it's a scary possibility financially. So some of these community, the financial model, it builds it in that it's part of the community. So you're living here, maybe in your little cottage or an apartment, but if one of the couple or like the person who is in the community needs the care, there is like a transition that you're still in the same community. And the interesting thing is to build on a wellness theme and knowing that these would help, like increase your probability of aging in a healthy way. And hopefully, the health span is really long and you just go off a cliff at the very end, right? So from a retirement community perspective, a business model, it is like a win-win to build the environment to ensure the people who are there that you're insuring, hopefully they don't end up in that place, to stay as healthy as possible, right? So it is interesting. I don't know if there's enough data, but it is beginning. I think people are starting to think, well, if we live in a healthier place, our health insurance should be lower. And
That's
right.
a really good point. Yeah, I agree with you. And it's a really good point about lowering the cost. And Katherine, I want to end with you because what I heard early on in segment one was the chronic illnesses. And I think this is part of, and I want to get your feedback on this, the proactiveness. And you talk to a lot of medical practitioners. They want to get out of the response to chronic disease, and they want to start treating people proactively. It sounds like this trend aligns really well with that. If you get you in the right environment, you pick the right environment for you, healthy environment, you've got everything near you, you're able to proactively manage your health as opposed to react and get sick and have bigger issues.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, we all know the problems with the medical system that we have here in the US, and it's a sick care system. That's what it's designed to do, and it's very high cost. It is not a system that's set up to do prevention. And the reality is that the prevention side takes place in our daily lives. It takes place in our communities. And if all of us have access to places that and people who help us stay healthy, all that's going to be easier for everyone. And absolutely is, I think it's the most important factor for staying healthy for the long term and avoiding chronic disease. And, it's just a shame that we, in this country in particular, we've built over the last 100 years a lot of neighborhoods and living environments that are working against us in doing, staying active and eating well. So we have a lot of problems to fix, but the wellness real estate sector and this topic is really important because it's a way to start addressing some of those things.
Especially with an aging America, and by the way, an aging world, because every country has a greater aging population. Ladies, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to having you back on the program again very soon.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
And that wraps up this episode of BRNAM. Have a topic of interest? Someone you think we should talk to? Drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the latest curated news and lifestyle, wellness, finance, tech, so much more all in one place, check out today's edition of our daily newsletter, The Morning Pulse. Want to search our archives, check out our latest content? Then visit our website. We're back again tomorrow for another edition of BRNAM. We'll have a very special guest and another important topic. Until then, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving. Don't forget, roll with the changes. Now is your opportunity to co-create content around any topic on the first lifestyle and wellness network. Reach a global audience through our platform and co-own exclusive branded content. All of our programs are available on demand and also as audio-only podcasts, so you can take us on the go. Broadcast Retirement Network, available anytime, anywhere, and on any device.